Hi, I am Todd Kenrick. I am the content director and host of D&D Beyond. I am here with Satine Phoenix, and I almost said Rudy Giuliani. And they are Maze Arcana. How you guys doing?
Rudy Rutenberg is great.
I'm trying to win.
Rutenberg, yeah.
I'm running for head of D&D right now.
Yeah.
You're
Mayor
winning.
of D&D town.
Rudy,
I'm
you're
winning
winning.
because nobody's running against me. I know how this works.
It's a one-man
I don't need
city.
your pity vote.
That one pity vote.
We are so
Todd
happy.
Kenrick is my biggest fan,
Rudy,
clearly.
you're happy to be
Yeah,
here.
purely, yeah.
You're happy to be here.
I'm a blast. I mean, I'm happy.
Yeah, you know, this is one of my favorite
It's not-
conventions,
it's
so
not-
this is just fun playtime with friends I
It
don't
really
get to see
is.
very often.
We get to play the
You're
whole
one
time.
of them.
It's not my fault.
What's not?
No. But you guys flummoxed me right before the show.
Oh, we do that.
Yeah.
That's our thing.
Yeah. Throws me off my game.
We try and break every interviewer just before it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm broken.
Our job is done.
I've
We
always
can-
been broken.
Oh, wow. You had to go there.
Tell me about your tie.
Dude, look, his tie
Yeah.
is amazing.
It
he
is.
does Taiyagami. I will Vanna rainbow color hair for this. This is a reverse eldritch, or you did name it something else?
Yeah, I call it an artificer. Because
That's right.
There really aren't. I actually Googled this knot to see if there was anything close to it, and there's not. The closest thing is an eldritch, but it's obviously a little bit altered. So that makes sense to me that an artificer probably broke it.
Yeah.
He's a dapper man, and I enjoy his ties.
It's a dapper Dan, man.
And this is how I get to put up naughty pictures on Twitter.
Get it?
That's the joke.
Oh, Lord.
Hashtag naughty pictures.
It is.
Don't
actually.
hashtag that.
No, it is. It is.
It is. No, he's trying to make it a thing.
Oh,
I'm not trying to.
K-N,
People-
It's K-N.
Yes.
Yeah.
K-N-O-T-Y.
We didn't spell it. That's on you. So Maze Arcana, how'd this all happen?
First off, I like the way you
Blame
say it.
Tito.
Yeah.
And Tito was to be blamed for the routine anomaly.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to say Maze Arcana?
No.
Arcana.
No. I like all this. The one that gets me is when it's like
Maze Arcana. No.
Arcana. I forget the way that I.
No,
I'm
let
gonna
me-
go ahead and purposely not remember the way.
Let me tell you how we met. Actually, Stream of Many Eyes was yours, mine, Chris Lindsay's, and Nathan Stewart's
Oh, yeah.
second friendiversary.
And Chris Perkins.
And Chris Perkins.
Yep.
Right.
Our second friendiversary.
That's nuts.
Because we met 2 years ago at the at Meltdown Comics. It was the release of Storm King Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
That is
and,
true. And we played, and Force Grey.
And Force Grey.
Yeah, and we played at a game together, and he was on the other side of the table, and I was here, and then Chris Lindsay was dungeon mastering, and we were the only two people role-playing.
It's true. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to help you do a thing. I was like, what? Yeah, let's do that. And then afterwards, I had been running games over at Meltdown for a while, and I was like, I need a buddy. Will you be my buddy?
And I said yes.
Yeah. And pretty much we've been best friends.
It seems like you guys have
since
been
that
friends
day.
forever.
No,
Doesn't
only
it?
2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, and it's only been 2 years. It's because I think we decided to jump directly into the flames
That's true.
of charity work and Dungeons and Dragons, which when you combine the two, sometimes it is like that crazy phonetic, like we just have to do this thing now.
I do believe we have a Slack that was like, we're going to do all the things.
We do. We actually have Slack. It's called All the Things. And
Don't find it.
even if you did, you'd have to.
Yeah. How would you get in?
I'm not going to approve just randos, probably. So it's basically, it's called All the Things, and we had one for CCD20, we had one for Maze Arcana.
But now there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many Slacks.
So we had to make new Slacks for the new seasons of things, kind of like you have to make new LLCs for each production.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so basically we met, and she was like, do you want to go for a hike? And I was like, yes, I love hiking and D&D, and those were my thing, so then she was like, oh yeah, so we were on the hike, and she was telling me about her comic books and like all these other things, and I was telling her about my military experience and then my experience with D&D, and she was just like, so it sounds like you get it. And I'm like, whenever it is, yes, I promise you I have it.
You know how hard it is to find somebody that has as much energy as I do?
Yeah.
That is rough. And it's like, I want a playmate. I found a playmate. And ever since that moment, the hike was like, Or no, the game was like, and the hike was like, yup. And we've been running full speed ever since.
We put together the charity in a month and two weeks. No, a month and a half.
That was 2016.
Yeah, in 2016.
We met
and we launched
in June, and that was in August.
August. And then we launched the stream
In October.
for Maze Arcana in October.
Yeah.
And originally it was going to be called something else, but when we went up to Wizards to get the license,
Yep.
But then we got the license.
I wasn't going to
for-
say what it was.
But then we got the license for Eberron, and it was beautiful because I had been running this charity since 2010 with Keith Baker.
Right.
And it was like, everything was so last minute, and he really loved the idea of Eberron as well. But you were playing a lot of Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, I was running Adventures League stuff. I was doing conventions. I was running 7 or 8 games, or I think one time the highest I got was 11 games in a single convention.
Yeah,
one of
that's
them being
nuts.
the Epic. It was. I was absolutely nuts. I was crazed.
Nuts.
Yes, so are you.
How did you determine the style of Maze Arcana?
I think it's
Or
purely.
was it just like this is just how it's going to be?
I think it's like you
It
when you
doesn't
throw
sound like you had a lot of
Satina.
time to think.
I think it's when you throw
Well-
Satina in and then you throw me
Yeah.
in on top, and it's
There's
called
a lot of yes ands.
it's a lot of organized chaos.
Right.
She's chaos. I'm organized.
It
and
has to
that's
be like this.
For those that don't know, yes ands are improv.
improv. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go,
Little improv
Satina would be like, I want
class.
to do this thing, and I'd be like, yes, and.
Yeah, actually, it looks like I have a vision, and then it's.
Let me
and
sculpt the way
then-
that your glasses look.
right.
But that's how we work. So it actually works out really well because I'm very specific on, like, it's not that I want to be different, it's that I enjoy things that are just different. And so when we were designing Maze Arcana, like even the logo, the MA is a D8.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
D8. We didn't
Like
want to do a
damage,
D20 or D6 like everybody else. And it took us 2 years to find a dice manufacturer who would put us a little logo on a D8. Like it took that long because
Oh,
everybody's
man.
like, what is that? Why would I do that?
Because it's awesome.
Because it's awesome.
Hello, Damage.
Hi. And yeah, we just put a lot of effort into making sure that there's a happy medium between what we wanted to do, because that's really like the build of what Maze Arcana was for, was to create a community style thing where everybody got to play and everybody coming in and contributing to it is actually welcome. There was never a, no, it's not your way, it's my way. It's a, okay, so you want this. I would like this. Where's the parts we can give and take? Because after you have like your grand idea, it really doesn't need to be all or nothing. And when you have such big ideas like Satine has or like I have, you have to delegate some of it. You have to trust somebody to help you. And so what we did has been built almost entirely off of where do we find the line to trust between two people who are friends in this moment like this, and both very opinionated in
And
the way.
different.
Yeah, because she's very punk rock San Francisco.
I'm San Francisco.
That
yes.
sounds like my favorite Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And then I'm very much like LA like production.
Right.
Like I know how to do a lot of it.
Hold on. So basically, he's very convention organized play.
Right.
I'm very chaos, homebrew. We've been making things up for 30 years. We just kind of figure them out as they go along. And
Yeah, but I was talking about my actual background.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I did a lot of production stuff in LA too. But the whole point is,
No, I didn't say
No,
a word.
describe
Yes,
yourselves,
and.
describe
Yes,
yourselves as
and.
subclasses.
yeah.
Yes,
So
and.
the whole thing was that, like, because we come from these different parts of our worlds
Yeah.
of LA, essentially, we're able to like make things that kind of fit both of those dynamics.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a bar
How would
officer.
you describe his style of DMing? Take him apart. Live. Take him apart.
His style of DMing is more like, well, he's very by the book, and there's mechanics for everything, but they're fun mechanics. Like he made these mechanics for dinosaur racing that was like Mad Max, but he makes things make sense, right?
Right.
Very logical. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a purpose, to the point where sometimes we're like, there is somebody that walked by our path. Who are they? Why are they there? What's going on? And like one of the games that we're playing in Inkwell, there's a little girl, and I was like, nope. My character's like, nope, they're not going over there. There is something the matter with that little girl. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, nope, don't trust it. Because there's
You've been so
many,
hurt before.
well, it's just that there's so many layers, and
Right.
there is so much purpose in everything that he does that there's reason and there's consequences. So he's a
Right.
consequence style. DM.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm not saying anything bad. It's actually really interesting.
Do you find you have to work against that expectation too? Because yeah, like if I was playing in your game and I see a little girl in the field, I just assume there's a giant tendril attached to her and there's actually like a monster underneath the ground.
Well, yeah, but you're Cthulhu, so
Yeah.
that is your trap.
Yeah.
Mine, I would say that it's not that I work against that. It's just that because I come from screenwriting and production that requires a very specific amount of money that you're allowed to spend on a thing.
Again, it's that
Yeah.
gun in the first act too.
Exactly. I am very Chekhov's gun.
Every detail matters.
could matter.
with the time you have. Yeah.
And as far as DMing style goes, like I'm also very fluid. So if something happens and they seem to take a shine to it, well, I will change everything to make it work. But that way I can do this little thing where, who's that guy? I forgot the name of the filmmaker who likes to do the thing where you go around through the whole movie and then at the end of it you're like, oh my God, what was that? It was in the...
M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, yes, except
Yeah.
for not, I didn't fizzle out after 4 games.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing where like I just like everything I like to twist the expectations of what people are going to find, and I like there to be something in place where somebody else could duplicate it if they needed to. Because coming from also the military aspect, we're taught, make sure that any idiot can come and pick up your book and actually do what you're going to do.
Yeah. Technical
think-
writing for military.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
the screenwriting is the biggest part of it.
It's a big part.
because there's so much, like there's so much you have to cover in such a short amount of time.
Right.
But you want it to be dense and rich and people to enjoy it and people to think about it afterwards, right?
I layer
And
exposition
so-
in places you don't think it's going to be.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
So my quote is a world with no consequences of no consequence. That's what I kind of live by.
Yeah, that's pretty much you.
Yeah.
What's this been like for you guys? Because I find D&D to be very therapeutic. I think like when I get to play, just never. So apparently I'm getting no therapy right now. Is like when you create characters.
I'll put you on a couch.
You easy now, easy. So like you can play aspects of your character or explore things about your personality.
Well, I'm writing a book about that right now.
Oh yeah, tell me about
As a
that
matter
book.
of fact, yeah.
I actually didn't know that. I didn't
really?
know this. No, I didn't know this ahead of time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Mirror into the Maze, Reflections of a Life Well Played. And it's about how, because I've been playing for 30 years, how D&D has helped me sculpt the person that I am now. When you're a kid, you've got all these fears and things, but through gaming and making the characters that I've always wanted to be, to fight the monsters in my real life, I've been able to grow and like, oh, I don't need to just make that character. I can study and get that boosted intelligence, or work out and get that boosted strength. So the book is about how D&D has helped me through PTSD, and that's
Right.
one of the things that Rudy and I do have in common. And one
bonded
of the
over.
things that we've seriously bonded over was that we both, and through my research, found that my childhood PTSD is severely similar to military PTSD. On the way
Clinically, it's very similar.
clinically,
Right, yeah.
and one of the main ways to heal from PTSD is to create new experiences with groups of people
In a safe place.
in a safe place. So
Yeah.
D&D isn't just a thing that we do, and it's not something that we actively are like, we're going to heal, but it's just over these
Unless you're
years.
casting it at a second level slot.
Exactly. It's just one of those things that is a byproduct of the fun that we're having.
And I think that's a good way to explain the way that Satine likes to DM, because it is very therapeutic in the way of it's like where you want to push something to a certain limit, and you're doing this and you're like describing what it is, and then you're like, maybe, and she's like, yeah. And it's just like, what? I can? Yeah. Okay, what do you want me to roll? No! You did it, go!
You just do it.
Yeah, I
yeah.
give triple advantage sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, she likes to do Voltroning. She likes to do it to where, like, if you stack, that's for other players kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was talking about just your individual answer to one person. But if you take, and if it was like Todd and I came up with an idea that we wanted to do together, instead of just giving us advantage on a thing, if we pulled somebody else into it, we had 3 people doing it, you're going to be like, it's Voltroning! Triple advantage, everybody!
Yeah, you and I need to play in a game soon, because we got a year ago we were supposed to play in a game.
Yeah.
And you and I were very excited about the character I came up with, and that was fun, just riffing back and forth and coming up with ideas.
Oh, he's
and
really
just,
good
like,
at that.
That's so fun to like have a DM where you can just kind of expand the ideas and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
Even though like 90% of those ideas will probably not be seen in that adventure.
Yes.
But it makes you have that back here in the back of your head.
Oh yeah.
And
So
it's
we
about
also
making you feel like you're doing something, because there's
Yeah.
nothing like sitting at a table and you're like, I want to, and they're like, no, and you're
And you
like,
need to have a break from yourself.
Yes. And that's also kind of the way that my screenwriting and television writing stuff has helped, because when you go into those situations, if you're doing it collaboratively, you basically start like blue skying. You just put things up on the board and everybody gets a say, and then you start to whittle down what it is. So when you started pitching me the stuff for the character that you were talking about, I was like, oh yeah, and you could do something like this. Or, oh, let me think about how I can make that, I can make that work like this, or like whatever. And we would have these conversations back and forth like that. And I did the same thing for everybody in Inkwell, where I was like, what do you want this to be? I actually made them, the only thing they were allowed to come to our Inkwell Society Session 0 with were flaws, vices, and like their most embarrassing or worst moment. And they didn't have classes, backgrounds, they still don't have classes, background, or races, and they negotiated a lot of that with each other in that writer's room kind of blue sky thing, where they were like, well, I want to do something like this. Oh, well, I'll play this character. And it's because when you're doing a noir setting, usually it's all about one person. They have like little side things. But
Very few ensemble casts in a noir.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I can't even
And
think
if
of
you
one.
do, it's
Altered
actually still
Carbon,
just
kind
one
of.
person, right?
Yeah, certainly altered. Yeah, we've talked
alter
extensively
egos.
about
Yeah.
the amazing cast.
Right. So
Where-
we broke
yeah.
that cast down into basically different fractured portions of
Oh man,
a classic hero.
I'd be Poe in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah. Altered Carbon stuff.
Yeah.
see, that's where we're different. So he comes from screenwriting, blue sky with other people.
Yeah.
I'm a comic book writer. I did a comic book
Right.
called New Praetorians, and that's, leave me alone in my cave and nobody talk to me. I
Yeah.
must make this thing that's coming out of my soul. I'm an artist, and it's like, I'm making this thing, and I will douse it out to you in very small increments, maybe 22-page increments. And those two ways of creating stories, that I feel like that is how we're different dungeon masters.
Yeah, but also it makes a very good blend for when we decide to double Dungeon Master, which we only pull out of the bag of tricks on rare occasions, because it's
intense.
It's intense. It takes a lot of communication and a lot of trust. And you have to kind of know when to push and pull with each other, so that the table doesn't know that you're actually in the middle of a giant fight, because that fireball should have been,
Scribbling
bigger or
notes.
smaller or something
What
like
the
that.
frick are you doing?
Those little things, like, and to make sure that you're keeping, especially like combats and narrative things, driving that narrative.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of why I think we mesh so well together, is because we're also not afraid to stand up to each other, and we have very strong
true.
personalities, I
We
think.
do.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone amongst us that has strong personalities.
No.
Lies.
We're pretty tame.
You ever met that Jeremy Crawford guy?
No. Yeah, Jeremy. Yeah, he doesn't have hard opinions about rules.
No.
What?
he's-
Oh,
no, what?
Oh,
Crap.
everybody.
Jeremy
He's not
Crawford's
here.
up there. He's approaching.
Stop moving! Stop moving! Everybody stop
Have I
moving.
ever told you how much I hate the Feywild? No, I don't. Oh God, no. I love the Feywild. I love the Feywild.
I do
I
though.
love-
I do. See?
Satine is the Feywild,
I
to
love
be
the
honest.
I love the Fey Knight too. Oh.
And I love the very specific rules that you write.
And I get
so-
nothing.
I know. Mwah. Great
Yeah.
job on that photo bomb again. It was the sneakiest photo. He's so crit.
He's good at
His
that.
stealth check.
Yeah.
And then he startled me too.
The old Crawford
That's
stealth
rare.
check.
It is
Because
rare.
his military is always
Yes,
on.
my hypervigilance is never on. It never goes off. But the one person that can apparently get under it.
I think that's another thing. Can I tell everyone about us a little bit more, Rudy?
Sure. What do you got?
Rudy is our protector, right?
Right.
So in our
Get behind
adventuring
my
band-
shield.
Yeah, he's like, get behind my shield.
Everybody
And
in chat's like,
I'm
that was terrible.
You need to soften up. Everybody just be friends. And so, oh, sorry. I'm like, so, but that's our dynamic. And
It's very
that's
much
really
my
fun,
wife's
too.
in my relationship. Like I am like the mean spiked shield, and she's like, no, let's
can't get along.
Let's get to know people.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's be nice.
I do like her very much.
Satine
Oh
is
yeah,
this
my wife is lovely.
Satine's this butterfly, this like butterfly of light that just kind of like flitters from place to place.
Firefly. I saw my first Firefly. I
Oh
saw
yeah,
my
yeah,
first
yeah,
Firefly.
You're in Ohio. Welcome,
Yes.
Welcome to the Firefly.
Segway.
And the butterfly, now Firefly, please.
Yes.
Because I
You
actually
can be
got
a fire
to see
butter,
like
a
50
butterfly
of
fly.
them.
Yeah.
And they're very
a
amazing.
Fighter fly.
They're like,
Fight or fly.
They're magic.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
blew my mind. They're like, that is how
You're
I
a
think
dancing
of
lights
magic. Yeah, exactly. Like it happens and then it's gone, and you're like, did I
And you
see
can be the
that?
dragonfly that like
I-
zooms
so I was
in
gonna
like
say-
a frickin' Blackhawk.
I was just
Now, have you guys done D&D for people with PTSD?
Oh yeah. One of the games
yeah,
that we
you-
played back in when we first launched Maze Arcana was we called it the Peanut Gallery. Two of the admins from Adventures League for D&D are also Army vets. So actually, this is the first time that Army vets aren't outnumbered anywhere outside the Army. Was the three of us all in a game, and then we had Satine, and we had
And Chris.
Chris. So
he's just our jolly,
our-
he's just a jolly Santa.
yeah, he's like Santa Bard. So we've got the two of them, and then we've got the three of us Army guys, and they played two little barbarian halflings
so
in
funny.
Eberron. So they're like tribal halflings.
Yeah.
And they're making like all of the noises and like doing the
It was really fun to play with
That's
them.
awesome.
And
That's
there's
fun.
something about people with PTSD.
There is something
There's
about
an
us.
escapism that we require in the world, right? So when we play together, we feel like little kids playing. We kind of climb up on each other, and we get this little part of us that's making new memories, and they're probably one of my favorite groups to play with. And we only see them at conventions.
Part of the problem part of the thing with PTSD is like the hyper awareness.
Yeah.
And often not
Hypervigilance.
like a fake awareness either.
No.
You need a break of that awareness. Like
Yeah.
there's a little bit of the veil that gets lifted, and playing D&D lets you hyper focus on something else.
This is interesting that I was talking to somebody the other day, one of my other Army friends, about the reason that we have hypervigilance more so when we come out of the military is because when we're with other people that have gone through the same experiences, we kind of inherently trust them a little more because we know they're being vigilant to what's behind us.
Right.
And we know that there's teamwork, whereas sometimes when we get back with civilians and stuff like that, there's not a whole lot of that overlap anymore. So then we feel
Or
like we have to be,
any of that.
Yeah.
Or any. I've talked to him and a lot of his Army vet friends, and it's like another world, and it's really hard. Like when I talk to other people who've experienced things that I have, we feel very alone and separate from everyone. We're like, we can talk about things no one else will understand.
Yeah.
And I watched you talk to people like that, and it's like, oh wow, you could feel like that. But instead, we hold arms and we move forward and we play games and we do things that make us feel more together with people.
And I think that actually makes D&D a much more open and understanding place for people when you have other people come in with that same feeling.
I think the misunderstanding is it's not escapism as much as it's almost like especially if that trauma is recent, it's like putting on a cast
Yep.
so that bone can just set.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like
a mental cast.
Yeah.
There is a woman. I don't know why I'm not. Oh wow, I'm such a jerk for forgetting her name. Megan.
Megan.
Megan Connell.
Oh,
And she actually has a thing where it's like, with the people that she sees, she runs games for them, like
Right.
a group of girls who are going through all those things that they're going through, and getting them to form bonds and reestablish behaviors by playing D&D. And it's magical to know that there is a large group of psychologists out there who are working on how to bring people together
Yeah.
by playing.
You can
Yeah.
find her on a clinical role.
That's true.
Yeah, and you had her come in for a
GM tip.
GM tip, so you could actually, if you're curious, you can go back and watch that episode, and they talk about it a lot. But
Yeah.
one of our favorite things to do is to kind of indoctrinate new players, like people that have no idea what D&D is, or are maybe even afraid to roll the dice, or afraid of rules and stuff like that, and to show them that like there's nothing to be afraid of. You can literally sit down and your DM will tell you, you just tell them what you want to do and the DM will tell you how to go about doing that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is not, like you can learn the rules, but there's an easy low entry bar, and then there's so much more complexity later if you want it, but you don't ever actually need it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's about all the time we have. We went from Maze Arcana to some really, really deep stuff.
Well, that is what Maze Arcana is about.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly,
We're
yeah.
not just a bunch of people who want to stream things, because
Right.
No.
that's just a fraction of the stuff he and I do. He and I are guild adepts.
And
You know,
designers.
we design, we write.
Filmmakers.
Yeah, so this is, just our way of reaching out to people and saying, hey, you like these things too? Watch our things. Oh, you want to learn how to do this? We'll teach you that too. Oh, you want to learn how to write adventures? We'll teach you that too.
Yeah,
These Arcana is the hub for that.
Yeah, we actually go to different conventions and teach people from the ground floor up, like the different ways that you can start streaming, all the way from like webcams and a little laptop up to the more expensive, aggressive ways, like what you guys got on here.
The black magic cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, that big stuff. Like, and we think that, and then we also try and help people make sure that they don't hit some of the pitfalls that you would normally run into when you're live and can't afford to flip a table.
With all of this.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have for now. Thank you guys for being on the show and for messing up my intro. I really appreciate that.
Anything we can do to help.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Throw me off my game. Oh no, what's happening? Oh.
Now he's
just go ahead
ruining
and
your
do
mic,
your
the mic.
I'm not
Mic.
touching it.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
there's a
touching it.
microphone.
Right here.
I'm not
Anyways,
touching it.
thank you guys. That's our segment with Maze Arcana.